Bonjour Guinois. This is the middle of the Res Road, and we're back with another impromptu episode, back to back episodes. And I'm Charles Smith, one of the hosts of the podcast, and I'm here with Diane Osceola, and she's from Leech Lake. She's a tribal contractor consultant, and she is currently working with Enbridge as a tribal liaison. Ani and Diane.
Oh, bonjour. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it. Indigenous cause, Wabigonikwe. My Indian name is Woman Who Walks Amongst Flowers, and I am a Leech Lake band member. I'm a grandmother, mother, Ikwe all the way around.
How about we start out with your consultant work?
Yes.
How did you get into that?
Well, it's kind of interesting, actually. I worked for Leech Lake tribal chairman for his first term. And in one of the meetings, Enbridge was doing a exercise out at Pikes Bay. And no one wanted to go and check it out. And all I could think of was, we want to know what's going on. So I asked if I could attend. And they said, sure. So I went. Patrick, who is the tribal engagement person, he come and picked me up. I was so impressed with how they were operating it out there and the folks that I talked with. And after meeting Patrick, and I was there for the day, and we stayed in touch, and it came about that they were looking for a tribal liaison and asked if I'd be interested. And I thought, what better way to know what's going on? Before I took the job, though, I talked to the majority of tribal council on why I was taking this, because we do need somebody there to know what's going on. So, and that was one of the best moves in my career I've made. I've been in Indian gaming for probably over 25 years. I started with them in 91. But yeah, I'm very happy where I'm at. They're very respectful. I've had an opportunity to do more for our tribal members via working through Enbridge than I was able to do when I worked for the tribe. So that's awesome. Anything I can do for our people, I look forward to.
Yeah, I think about the tribal liaison positions happening in different companies at the state level, fed level, and it seems like tribes are just finally catching on.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like I know that working with tribal liaisons, they send us job opportunities or trainings. But what I don't like seeing is when we get job opportunities or training opportunities on our home reservation, no one knows about it because it gets sent via email or gets posted on the outside of a board. And, nobody really looks at boards anymore when you post up paper stuff. And so what I've been trying to do is get the opportunities out there via website, because I just think it's really important. I really want to see people in tribal liaison positions or take opportunities to learn anything.
And they're out there. Years ago, I worked for American Indian OIC, so I got to meet with the different companies, private and public sectors, because they wanted our Indian people out there, to meet their minority. Back then, it was their minority quotas with affirmative action. So I was able to assist with that. And I always told whoever I sent over there, use it. They need us. Get your foot in the door, and go from there. It's a great learning opportunity, and that's what this is. The jobs that are available, it's just not working at Enbridge. These are skills you can take anywhere and utilize. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for our people.
So do you network a lot?
Oh, definitely. Yes.
How does that go?
Well, I'm involved in so many things. Indian country's pretty small, especially, like I said, I worked in gaming for so long. Everybody knows everybody. So it's an awesome way to network. The people I've known, I had one of the gals, we were traveling up in Canada from Enbridge, and she's like, who don't you know when we stop at all these places? So it's such an opportunity to share with folks, because some of them don't know the job opportunities we have available. So that opportunity is just out there for the youth, and even, our more mature people. There's just so many ways they can branch off into this and, make a good living for themselves and their family, and be able to turn it around into the community also.
Was it scary taking a chance after being vetted within the Leech Lake organization? You worked for during the first term of the chairman, and then you done 25 years in the gaming up there. Was it a bit of did it feel like a risk, or did you just want to try something new?
Do you mean going to Enbridge from the tribe, or?
Yeah.
Actually,
like switching gears.
Yeah. Now, I looked at it as a challenge and an opportunity to kind of branch out in different ways. And I wouldn't use the word scary. What it is, especially with, all the past history of oil pipelines and that kind of thing, to where, you are going to come across some people who just don't know and aren't educated on some of these topics. So the good thing is I've been able to get more information that I can share, because there's so many things that people just don't know. And knowledge is power. So the more knowledge you can get out there and share the information, the more powerful it is for people to know, grow, and make their own determination and decisions on, some of the things that they want to do for their family and their life for betterment, and the community. It affects everybody. I think it's wonderful myself. I've seen what it's done out there in the communities.
And it seems like no matter what information you have, no matter how factual it is, we're combating social media at the same time for whatever. If it's Ojibwe language, if it's Ojibwe culture, if it's gaming, if it's, hey, I heard somebody say this. And it goes all the way down there and it becomes facts. So, and it's interesting that it happens everywhere.
It does. Look at the news on TV. It's everywhere. It's just trying to get the right stuff out there and just to educate folks. I've been going to some of our local Indian Council meetings, and some of the questions that came up, I was surprised, because they thought we just took anybody's land and just did what we wanted. And no, there's a process, and there's a lease, and there's different things involved. So it was an eye-opener for a couple of the places I spoke at. They had all kinds of questions. So I try to stay as well educated as I can. But, we have so much going on out there. We have people who are, that's their specialty. So sometimes I'll have to refer out or tell them, give me a little bit and I'll get the answer for you. I got to check into it. So it's a wonderful opportunity that we have here. And I want to share with as many of our people as we can, so that they can benefit from it and grow for their families.
So becoming a cultural consultant, how do you, I guess, what does that exactly mean?
Well, that's a good question, because we have so many cultures out here throughout Minnesota. But as a cultural resource, I look at it as an opportunity to share what I've learned through my upbringing. And I've had wonderful mentors, spiritual people from Canada, South Dakota, through Minnesota, that I've been blessed with as teachers. And so I want to share, because we need that. We need our healing. We need our cultural background to keep us strong and grounded. So it's a wonderful opportunity, because I can use things that I know and that come from my heart and my soul. So I love it. I'm just tickled pink with the opportunities that I get.
How much of your knowledge stems directly from Leech Lake?
I'd say the majority of it, but I was away to school a lot too when I was younger. I was one of the lucky ones that went to a good boarding school back then. But yeah, I was always away to school.
And did your parents speak Ojibwe, or when did they?
My mom and grandma did. Dad wasn't real fluent, so he didn't like him using the language, because he thought they might have been making comments. So we weren't pretty much allowed to then. But, through school, we couldn't talk our language. We couldn't use our culture. That's why when I said I went to a boarding school in New Mexico that embraced our culture, it was awesome with our artwork and different cultural things that we did there. So I had some good opportunities. Sorry, I think I got a little distracted from your question.
No, I appreciate the answer. And then, taking it further, you said your mom and grandmother spoke Ojibwe. So how much of their cultural knowledge got passed on to the children?
I have a good handful of siblings, and it's just like with our children nowadays. Some are interested and some aren't. So I've kind of been the main person. Like with my grandkids or my nieces and nephews, I'm the one who talks to them about the tobacco, about putting it out when it rains, how to talk to the spirits, bring up jibais, different things. So, I try to keep the kids learning. And gosh, you got to get them when they're little because they pick up Ojibwe like right now. I can quiz all my grandkids and they're like, yeah, I know that word.
Yeah, Leech Lake has a rich culture. And as a visitor, when I go up there, I try never to. One of the best things I've learned is learning my culture and learning from having a good amount of teachers like yourself.
Everybody comes into your life for a reason.
Yeah. But then being a good visitor in the place is not trying to change their ways. And I think that's a good practice.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because you don't want to be disrespectful because everybody does things a little differently. And so you just kind of watch and learn. Yeah,
and it's interesting trying to teach people that it's just a little, I understand this. It's this pretty much the same thing, but they do it this way here. But we do the same thing, but we do it this way over here.
Yeah, actually, we were just talking about that with the medicine wheel and the colors. Each tribe, has a different location for their color, east, west, or, north. And we're all taught a little differently. It's the basics, the general. It's just a little switch on some of it.
What was some of the favorite things that you liked doing when you were a kid?
Oh, geez, hanging out in the woods. We made trails all over in the back. Yes, we were always out in the woods back then.
Were you doing any cultural activities like sugar bush or anything
like that? Oh, ricing, of course. We did ricing. Being the older one in the family, I got to take the younger brothers out ricing. So I did a lot of swimming.
Because they would flip the boat.
Yeah, the pulling gets a little wobbly and blink, into the water you go.
Were you the puller or knocker?
Oh, I was the knocker. I did all the pounding.
Do you still rice?
No, I'm a little older right now.
When was the last time you went ricing?
Geez, probably before I left home when I was 10 or 12. I've been, like I said, I've been gone away to school a lot.
Yeah, and I still have to say this, especially while we're recording. I do really love Leech Lake Wild Rice. You guys have so many lakes up there, and it's unbelievable. And how you guys protect it, I admire that.
Oh, we were very gifted with it.
If you're not from there, you can't rice. If you don't live within the boundaries, you can't rice.
Well, we'll help you out. I'll get you some rice.
Yeah, I love Leech Lake Wild Rice. It's my favorite.
That's my specialty when we do our events. I do the wild rice. Roland will do the walleye, and Robert does the fry bread. So we got a good combination, too, when we have events.
Events for...
We do cultural events. We'll do, I don't want to call it groundbreaking, but before we start doing anything to the ground, we'll come and bless it and do a ceremony there. And the same with when we're closing it up. And if we're by water, we do water ceremonies, and we'll do cooking out there and have a little feast for folks and kind of explain some of the stuff we do. So it's a wonderful opportunity. And it's a good learning for those who, are non-native that want to know more and to understand us.
And if anyone's listening that might be considering working for a company like Enbridge or any other company, like as a tribal liaison or working in equity or anything like that, but how did you know that Enbridge was really paying attention to you? Like what you were offering to teach them?
Well, I've got to tell you, it's too bad we don't have more organizations who have the interest and the background to create more cultural awareness. Enbridge has really stepped up on all kinds of things. We have our reconciliation. There's our Indigenous resource. EIRG group. Yeah, Indigenous
Employee
Resource Group. Sorry, I can never get those
And then
acronyms right.
reconciliation.
Yeah, that's a whole plan for the future on how we're going to work with tribes and Indigenous throughout North America, including Canada.
So with those things being implemented at Enbridge, how much did you work on there? Like, how much did you offer as a person of color?
Usually they'll give it to me to read. And then if there's anything I see that might need to be changed or maybe worded differently, usually they'll fly anything they have like that past me or a couple of the other liaisons. So we get a good chance to look at it and looks good, or we should probably change the verbiage a little bit.
That's interesting. Editing.
Yes, it is editing, but I consider them being very respectful to make sure that we get
for sure.
Opportunity to look at it and put our 2 cents worth in, or what needs to be deleted, or what didn't sound appropriate, or maybe some better verbiage to use.
Yeah, double checking everything before it gets published.
Yeah, I feel very honored that they trust me enough and would like me to look at it first prior to any kind of printing or posting.
Yeah, that's a good practice. And
Yeah.
I love that they have you as a tribal liaison. You're from the community. You know people from Canada all the way down to say, Oklahoma.
Oh, easy past that.
Or New Mexico.
Yeah.
New Mexico. So
all the way to Florida. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're met a whole bunch of people, and you get to look at it from all those lenses.
Yes. And you can share the knowledge, the things that they don't know out there, for Enbridge. Enbridge has done a lot for the Indigenous people. There's so much that they don't go out and toot their horn on it. But for those of us who work here, we know they've done a lot out there. And today I had a community member call and ask for some assistance with some of their programs that they're doing, and some donations and helping out with their door prizes and to bring more people in and to raise money for the youth, our elders programs.
And we were talking about this before we had got started. Can you explain your last name a little bit?
Oh, yes, it throws everybody off. Osceola. I was married to a Seminole. I'm a Leech Laker. My maiden name is Pemberton. My dad's family's from White Earth. My ma's side is from Leech Lake. So it's a little combination. And also Canada. My grandpa came from Canada, mom's side.
And what happens when everybody says Osceola down south?
It's Osceola, not Osceola.
And was it a Seminole from down south or Florida?
Hollywood, Florida. Mm-hmm.
Hollywood, Florida.
Yeah, we met in New Mexico at a BIA boarding school.
Oh, okay.
It was an all-art school. So, like I said, the boarding school I went to was a whole lot different than, back in the day.
How did that happen? Like, how did you end up in New Mexico of all places?
I was going to school, and we just moved, and I was going to school in Coon Rapids. And back then, racism was alive and well.
It's still alive and well.
It is, but this was so bad. You'd come around the hall and you see these signs up during like football tournaments or basketball, turn those chiefs into squaws, this kind of stuff, and it was just so offensive. And I basically told my mom I wasn't going to attend school there again. And so we started looking around, and with my art background, the Institute of American Indian Arts came up, and I applied and sent copies of my artwork there, and they accepted me. So I went to school in New Mexico in Santa Fe at the Institute of American Indian Arts.
At what age?
16 and 17.
Okay.
I graduated high school from there. They had postgraduate college on one end of the campus, and on the other end they had 11th and 12th graders.
And then did you go to college?
Yeah, I went to college 15 years after I got out of high school. After I got out of Institute of American Indian Arts, came home long enough to make money to go to Florida and stayed down there. And then I came up here when I was, the week I was due with my son. And then we stayed up here. Sorry, I got distracted again. What was your question?
No, I was just wondering if you went to college afterwards. 15 years.
With all the work I did, I thought, I started looking for other jobs, and any place you went, federal or state, they just wanted some letters behind your name. So I got blessed here. I was one of the first graduating classes for NACE. It's Native American Educational Services. Out of Chicago, they did a satellite project in Minneapolis. And I was one of the first graduates. I think there was 12 of us. And it was all indigenous oriented. It was awesome. Everything except for the math we had to do. And knock on wood, I was on the National Dean's Honor List all my whole time I went to school, 0.4 average.
So
and I never got that in school.
No, that's awesome. So what do you think about, like, you take a look at what the University of Minnesota is doing? They started doing free tuition to enrolled members.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take the program that you went into, and you got your bachelor's degree?
Yes, Bachelor of Arts.
So how different is it now you see opportunities like that for enrolled members?
Mm-hmm.
What about the opportunities that you had? How scarce were they, or
Very
how
scarce.
frequent?
You had to apply for your Pell Grant and all these other scholarships that you had to pay back. And now with this free tuition, which actually, if you think about it, treaties, government is supposed to pay for our health care and our education. Took a little bit for to get them going on both, but at least we got it now to a degree. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity because we can get people into technology, get our kids going into different STEMs programs. Because technology is where it's going. So the more educated folks we can get in there, the better.
How much did education change your life?
It changed my life a lot. I was able to make a decent living for my family. And actually, as a single parent back then, I got frustrated because I couldn't make any decent money. I ended up going into construction. I was a union carpenter for probably 6 years. I worked at big commercial buildings. I could stay working all winter long. I made good money. I actually went through my 2 last pregnancies as a union carpenter in the commercial world. And it's good skills you can take and use later.
Yeah, use on your own homes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have a wealth of experiences and knowledge. I can just tell by just listening to your stories. When you say you get distracted, I'm getting distracted just listening to you tell your story. It's awesome.
I've lived a while, and I've experienced some really good things. Even the bad things that come across your life are learning experiences. I'll give you an example. When I went to that exercise at Pikes Bay, when I came back, Patrick was giving me all these Enbridge swag items, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go back in the tribal building with these bags that say Enbridge and all these little goodies. But here's a good example of taking what you can utilize and what'll make better. People started going through the bags. Oh, I can use this. I can use that. And they actually took a lot out of all the bags. So really, you can pick and choose, what you need, the good, the bad, and learn. And, you can find something to use that's worthwhile and put a positive twist on. And they did. I was kind of surprised. So it's like, yeah, everybody took something out of those bags. Oh, I can use it for this. And so I liked it because at first they're like, what? Enbridge in here? And then they all started digging through the bags and finding goodies. So it turned out well.
And you just seem like a personable person where you can connect with your fellow members up there.
Oh, yes.
And everyone else.
It's, I don't know. It's kind of easy, I guess. For me, it is. We've got a lot going on, and, we're all learning, and we're just human beings here trying to get along in the world.
So when you were a construction worker, and, mothers are just better at doing this than fathers, practicing empathy and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning it as I get older, how important that is. When you were in construction, were you rougher?
Hey, I had to retrain my language after I got home. Calm down.
So you held your own?
Oh, yeah, you had to. And back then, I was usually the only female on the job site. So there was a lot of BS you had to put up with. Yeah, but I didn't put up with it. They didn't know I knew other routes to go. So, they were learning too. A lot of the older construction guys were really good. It was those young ones that were kind of, I won't say butt heads, no, but they were learning, and Yeah, so they needed the school of hard knocks in some cases, but yeah, I was actually, back when I worked construction, I was with local 1644 for the carpenters, and there was only a handful of us ladies back then that worked.
How many Native ladies?
I would say
Even fewer.
3.
3.
Yes, that I remember off the top of my head. And then there was a couple of black gals. So yeah, there was only a handful of us, and anytime on any job site, I was usually the only female.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was interesting.
It sounds like it. Where was your favorite place to live? You lived everywhere, so where was the favorite place?
Minnesota. It's just coming home. Like when I was away to school, you'd get close to the state and open the windows up, and you could just smell home, the trees, everything. Yes.
I don't know. It's something about this big lake right here,
Mm-hmm.
Lake Superior. Sometimes I think about moving, and then
You feel it. It's the spirit.
lake.
You just feel it. Mm-hmm.
But taking trips and getting away is nice too.
Yes, because it's good to see other places. You know, expand your little world out a bit. But yeah, it's coming home. It's always been coming home. You can smell it and feel it.
When I moved to the cities, I didn't think I was moving back. At least for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was going to stay down there longer, and I got a job up here, and they coaxed me back to coming up here. So I moved back up here, and I came back after being down in the cities for 2 years. But something about this lake, and you guys got that huge lake up there too.
Mm-hmm. It's the draw. It's the spirit of it. You know, my granddaughters know to put tobacco out in the lake before they go swimming. Yes, we try to honor the water as much as we can.
Is there anything else that you want to share?
Well, I appreciate you asking me to come and do this. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and little kinks kept getting in the way, so it worked out pretty good today. So thank you for inviting me over and the opportunity to speak. And if there's anything I can do or be a resource to help anybody. We just got done making dream catchers for, it was a little class of teaching, so that was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's just sharing our knowledge.
And are the tribal liaisons, if anybody wants to reach out, because you're just an awesome person. I'm going to reach out.
Thank you.
On the directory at Enbridge, can they find you?
I don't think I'm on the directory.
Not yet.
Well,
We're going to have to
something we'll
change
have to
that.
Yeah, check on, because I know somebody was looking for me because they were looking for
cards?
work. Yes, sir. I sure do.
Okay.
I'll get you one.
Yeah, we can put it up there with the episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's Red Lake, White Earth, Mille Lacs, and myself. So there's 4 of us.
And Fond du Lac.
Oh, yes. Well, Fond du Lac, I'm not sure if they have a actual tribal liaison.
Oh.
But because everything's working so well over there, they just need us to kind of help out with little odds and ends.
Yeah, no, you guys are doing awesome work, and I'm glad that positions like this are opening up all over the country for Indian people to work.
And these companies, private and public sectors, are finally waking up that, they need us out there, and how do they work with our culture? I used to do that a long time ago when I worked for American Indian OIC. I'd talk to these companies in the private and public sector because they couldn't figure out why they couldn't keep Indian people working. They're like, well, somebody passed away, so they said they'd be gone for a week or 2. Yes, traditionally, sometimes it can take that. Or, why can't we keep them working? And they said, they don't look at us. I said, you're taught you listen with your ears, not. I said, that's kind of rude when you're staring at somebody, is how we're brought up. So there's, cultural things that the outside world needs to understand a little bit better about us.
I have an idea of how we can end this episode.
All right.
So for anyone who's on the fence, when
Teetering?
Teetering or that works for the tribe, from the tribe, and they get this opportunity to become a tribal liaison or work for another company, what would you tell yourself, or what would you tell them if you were on the fence of, hey, should I do this opportunity? Would this be right for me, or could I actually make a difference? What would you tell those?
See, and that's the key thing is, for me, it's to make a difference. And if the individual's questioning it, should I or shouldn't I? It's like, go with your soul. If you feel you can make a difference, that's why I took it, because I thought, I can make a better impact and add to opportunity for our people to make an impact. And I guess I would just tell them to do it, you know. And it can't hurt anything. It's a learning opportunity. You know, you get in there, and if it doesn't work for you, hey, it happens, and you just, you know, move on to the next thing. Another door will open up. When, you know, if something closes, there's a reason for I'm a very strong believer of there's a reason for everything. And the people you meet, the people you come across, there's always a reason why you touched their lives or they touched yours. So I would tell them to go for it. Can't hurt.
I can't wait until I have another conversation with you. You're awesome. I
Well,
appreciate
thank
you
you,
coming
sir.
on.
Well, I appreciate being asked, and I should have done this sooner, but we had a great opportunity here, so thank you so much for having me.
Me, Rich.
Oh,
Take care.
you too. Till we meet again.
Uh-huh.